Hello. Hello. Please join the meeting in progress. मोबाइल को नहीं मम्मी के लिए
Zaczął.
Let's start this topic. So first we have seen what is an IGBT, what is the constructional details of an IGBT. So as I discussed with you, IGBT is a combination of BJT and MOSFET. Okay, BJT is a current control device and MOSFET is a voltage control device. BJT is a current control device. MOSFET is a voltage control device. Why it is known as a current control device? In case of BJT, because a small current base terminal controls the current which is flowing between emitter and collector. In case of a MOSFET, we call voltage control device because the voltage at the gate which will control the current flowing between the source and drain. So it is a voltage control device. Okay. So you can look at this diagram. You can see here, this is a BJT, IGBT structure. You have a gate, you have a collector and an emitter. Also, we have seen what is the voltage amplification factor of a BJT, that is beta is equal to IC by IB. Now we will see how an IGBT can be turned on and turned off. IGBT can be turned on with a positive voltage at the gate and slightly negative voltage at the gate, you can turn it off. Here you can see the IGBT characteristic. In this you can see here people are just joining, I am admitting them. So you can see the IGBT characteristic. Okay, if you look at this IGBT characteristic, you can see here when the gate voltage is, the gate voltage is not there, like, you know, see this is the gate voltage is very less, it is fully in the turned off conditions. Okay, when you start increasing the gate voltage, it goes to the conduction mode. So IGBT is a voltage control device. It requires a small voltage on the gate to maintain conduction through the device like BJT, which require the base current is continuously supplied in case of a BJT. But in IGBT, you need only a gate pulse. So IGBT is a unidirectional device. That means current can only flow in one direction. It always flows in one direction. Now we'll see when you compare the IGBTs with other semiconductor devices. People are coming and I'm admitting them. Okay. So let's see these comparisons. If you look at this comparison between a bipolar transistor and IGBT, you can see here the IGBT has got a very high rated, you know, voltage capacity is 1 kV, more than 1 kilovolt, and current rating is more than 500 amps. So here only thing is that MOSFET and IGBT, the speed of MOSFET is slightly faster than the IGBT. Okay, so when you compare it, this comparison chart, you can see IGBT is much better. Now, IGBT is known as a high switching current switch. Okay, because in power electronics there are two type of device available for high frequency switching. One is a BJT, bipolar junction transistor, and metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. Yes.
Sir, can you just not? Can you be a little bit slow down? It's a little bit fast.
Okay,
You're just
fine,
changing
fine.
the slide very fast.
Okay, okay. I will just go again to the beginning side. So what we have discussed is what is IGBT, what are the constructional details. Okay. In IGBT construction, it is a combination of a BJT and MOSFET. BJT is a current control device because a small base current controls a current between emitter and collector. So it is a current control device. And MOSFET is a voltage control device because a voltage what you are applying on the gate controls the current between source and drain. So MOSFET is a voltage control device, IGBT is a current control device, IGBT is a combination of a BJT and MOSFET. Okay, that's what you have seen here. Here you can see this diagram here. This is IGBT. Here you can see this is a MOSFET part. This is a transistor part, or we call it as a BJT. Bipolar junction transistor part is this. This is a MOSFET part. When both of them combine, you get an IGBT. This is an IGBT. Then second part, what we discussed, how you can turn on an IGBT. This we have discussed how a BJT is working, how a MOSFET is working. This is a MOSFET diagram. And here you can see how you turn on and off an IGBT. When you give a positive supply at the gate, you can turn on an IGBT. When you give a slightly negative supply, you can turn off an IGBT. This is all what we have discussed till now. Let's proceed a little more. This is the comparison. If you compare an IGBT with a bipolar transistor and a MOSFET, you can see here IGBT has got higher rated current, higher rated voltage. That is the advantage of using IGBT. Now, where we use this IGBT? Before coming this, I'll just show you what are the applications and how the IGBT looks like this. You see, these are the different type of IGBT available in our shipping industry. We are using basically all these four types. We are using this type of IGBT also, like an IC shape. Like this, you can see like a small box type. This is also used. This is called the press pack IGBTs. This type of IGBTs are used on ships' propulsion drives. When I say propulsion drive, I'll show you one diagram of a propulsion drive where it is used. You can see this. This is a propulsion drive. See here, you can see here, propeller. This is the motor. And here you can see a converter. And then this is a transformer. This is a generator. This is the main switchboard. This is a control cabinet. So here, the IGBTs are used inside these converters, this converter. So supply from this main generator is coming to main switchboard. It is coming to a step-down transformer. Then it comes to a converter. This converter is controlling the synchronous, induction motor. So this is one application of IGBT inside a VFD where we use on board ship. This type of drives you will find on board LNG ships also and container ships also, some of the ships. But they have a different type in container, but gas ships, this is the type what we have it. Okay, so this is one application of IGBT. I just want to show you where it is used. Okay, let's go back to this slide, same slide. So these are the shape of IGBT. When you look at IGBT, it can be in different shape. You see nowadays on board ship, all the winches, like windlass and mooring winch, all they use frequency converters. Frequency converter is nothing but it is also a variable frequency drive. In that we are using IGBT. Here that we are using this type IGBTs. Here also you can see small IGBTs. There is, you see, gate, drain and source. Or you can call it as a emitter also here. So it is source, drain and gate. This is a logic symbol. This is called press pack IGBT, very high voltage IGBTs. Okay, this is the way IGBT looks like. And what it contains a combination of a BJT and a MOSFET. Let's come back to this basic where we are stopped. So IGBT is a fast switching circuit. It is very fast switching. So before the development of the IGBTs, we were using basically like bipolar junction transistor, MOSFET and all. Both devices could switch at higher frequencies than thyristors. Okay, MOSFET offers high switching speed, means you can fast. Basically all these IGBTs, what we say, these are semiconductor switches. You know, the main application is it works like a switch, on and off, on and off. So how fast you can on and off, that is the main factor in this. So MOSFET offers high switching speed, high voltage, high current design, whereas BJT is in high voltage, high current configurations, but low switching speed. So IGBTs are three-terminal switching device which could effectively be considered to consist of an insulated MOSFET and bipolar junction transistor. Okay. So these two capabilities, high switching speed and low loss, is made use making IGBTs. So here you can see the difference between BJT and MOSFET. BJT is a bipolar junction transistor. MOSFET is a metal oxide semiconductor. BJT terminals are emitter collector base. MOSFET has got gate, source and drain. So in case of BJT, we are controlling the current between emitter and collector by giving a signal at the base. In case of MOSFET, we are controlling the current between source and drain by giving a signal at the gate. BJTs are preferred for low current applications. MOSFET are for high power applications. Okay, I think this is clear. What is IGBT? How it is constructed, where we use, how it looks like. We'll see in more details how it is working. IGBT has got three connections, terminals, basically collector, emitter, gate. The conductance path is from collector to emitter. You see, look at this diagram. The conductance path means the current flowing path is from here to here. The current which is flowing from here to here can be controlled with the gate signal. Similar to a thyristor, IGBT allows current to pass only, is received only gate. So thyristor is a current control and switches on when a pulse is given to the gate. IGBT is a voltage control. Okay, IGBT is a voltage control. Why? Because we are giving a voltage at the gate. So it is a voltage control device. Hope this is clear. So the output and voltage characteristics are similar to BJT, but driving that device using a voltage control of MOSFET simplifies the switching actions. Now where it is used, IGBTs are ideal choice for switching current on and off in a high power applications. So it is like switching on and off. We will see in details what is this switching on and off and how it is used. Okay, so right now you must understand what is the applications. It is used for switching applications. IGBTs are designed for use in power applications above 1 kilowatt. The point at which BJT and standard MOSFET reach their limits. You see, BJT MOSFET has got a very limitations in case of voltage and current, whereas IGBT is high rated, high current. And IGBT is a semiconductor switching device that has output characteristic of bipolar junction transistor, and it is controlled like a metal oxide semiconductor, MOSFET. So this is the shape of the IGBTs. Okay, you must have seen in the lab this type of IGBT, but you will find onboard chip like this one and this one. How do you test an IGBT? Let's see, very important thing. How do you know IGBT is working or not? You see, if you have a simply, if you look at this IGBT, you can see your gate, collector and emitter. Okay, if you have a multimeter like this, put the multimeter in the continuity mode, or even if you can put a diode mode also, you can check within collector and emitter. When you give no signal at the gate, the collector and emitter should be open. It's clear? The collector and emitter should be open. There should not be any conduction between collector and emitter. If you look at this circuit, this is an IGBT testing circuit. Okay. Now you see here battery voltage 15 voltage is given here. This 15 volt is coming through this LED on and negative side is through the LED off. And this supply is also coming from here to the collector side and the emitter side. So when I switch the LED switch on, you see when I switch on this 15 volt supply is coming through this like this to the gate and the light will come on. So with a gate signal on, I'm applying a gate signal. When I apply a gate signal, the IGBT turns on. That means IGBT is working. Now this IGBT is on. Now I want to switch off this IGBT. How you switch off this? You see this? Once you press this and leave it, it given a gate signal, this will start conducting. So this is now out, this is open. Now when I press this, when I apply a negative voltage from here, then this will go to off state. So that means it is cutting off, it is turning off. So this circuit, also you can check, this is a way you can check an IGBT working on or off. Means it is working or not, it is bad or bad, good. Also with the multimeter, also very fast we can check. Because on board chip you will find IGBT is plenty. It's not one or two. There are in propulsion drives, it's maybe plenty, lot of IGBTs. So you have to, if suppose something goes wrong, you should be able to check which IGBT has gone bad, good. So you can, ideal thing is to use a multimeter and keep checking the voltage. With no gate signal, it should be open. So this is an IGBT testing circuit. This you can use with a digital multimeter or analog multimeter also you can check. Okay, this is a structure of an IGBT. Actually, what IGBT looks like this. You see here, you got an emitter here, and emitter and collector here, and emitter. So the current flow is controlled using the gate supply. And in between, why it is called insulated gate? So nobody has asked me this question. Why you say why it's called an insulated gate bipolar transistor? The reason being insulated gate polar means, you see here, this is the logic symbol. If you look here, this is insulated. The gate is insulated. This is the gate. The gate is not connected anywhere here. It is insulated. Why? Because it is insulated. It is insulated using an SiO2 layer. SiO2 layer means silicon oxide layer. This is insulated using a silicon oxide layer so that it becomes like a capacitive action. So this becomes one plate of the capacitor, other will become other plate. So when you give a gate voltage, it will attract the electrons from the other side, from the inside. If it will attract an electrons, it provides a conducting path. You see, this is the gate. In between, the brown one is called the SiO2 layer. SiO2 means silicon oxide. It is a conductive layer, but this is a metal, this is a conductive layer. That is the reason it is called insulated gate. Insulated gate means the gate is insulated by an SiO2 layer. Okay. So this is a way how you can turn on and turn. Yes.
Yes, sir. This if silicon oxide is acting like a capacitor, does that mean it will store some energy for a short period of time?
It is like an electrolyte. You know, it is like a in between two capacitor plates. You have some in between. No, it's like an electrolyte in between. It is yes. It will attract the electrons from down. When you give a gate voltage, that positive voltage will start attracting the electrons, but it is not directly contact. It is not directly contact. It is an insulating media, but it is SiO2 layer, but it is conductive. It will attract the electrons from the substrate through the gate voltage. That means when you give a gate voltage here, these electrons are attracted towards, this will form a channel here, these electrons. This is a metal. So in between there is the electrolyte SiO2. So this will try to attract the more electrons, and electrons will flow a channel here. So we are actually controlling the flow of electrons which is moving from here to here. Okay, this is the conventional current, electron current. I'm talking about the conventional current directions. So this is the insulation. This is called insulated gate. This is the gate, this is a metal, this is insulated gate. IGBTs are switched off with a negative voltage and switch on with a positive voltage. So plus voltage it will turn on, negative voltage it turns off. That's what you have seen in this circuit. You see here a negative voltage. This is the negative side. This negative voltage will turn off this. This positive voltage will turn on this. So positive voltage will turn on, negative voltage will turn off. This is a gate driver. You see, gate driver means it is a, yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah.
The voltage supply for the collector and for the gate is the source is from one source or from different sources?
You see, this is only a testing circuit. Okay, this is only a testing circuit for an IGBT. But in case of a VFD, it has got a gate driver circuit. It has got a separate circuit itself, gate driver. So it has got a processor, it has got a computer, everything. It is sending the signals to the gate on and off, depend upon the requirement. It is not always like this, which you have seen in this circuit. This is only for testing purpose. I have shown you here from the single source. But when you put this in the VFD, it has got a gate driver circuit. So that gate driver circuit is actually, it is a processor based system, which will give the signals to the gate on and off, on and off. You see, this is a gate drive circuit. Now, what is the purpose of this gate driver? Gate driver is a power amplifier that accepts low power input from a controller IC, produces a high current drive output for the gate of the high power transistor. So this gate driver circuit, if you look at this diagram here, this is an optocoupler. You see, optocoupler means it is given electrical isolation. Okay. It is an electrical isolation here. It is an electrical component that transfers electrical signal between two isolated circuits using a light. So this can be like photo cells and all. This optocoupler is working in that. The signal is coming from here. It's a logic signal. You see, gate signal is coming from here. This signal is coupled through the optocoupler to an interface amplifier. Now, a gate drive circuit consists of three sections. One is an optocoupler, which will electrically isolate the signal. See, it is electrically isolated. It is not directly connected. Then another interface circuit which receives and amplifies the signal. This will amplify the signal, which come from an optocoupler. And the other is a switching transistor. This is a switching transistor. This switching transistor serves to charge and discharge the IGBT gate capacities. When the IGBT is turned on, gate voltage needs positive bias plus by 15 volt. When switch off, gate voltage needs to be negative around minus 10 volt. So this is a circuit which is driving the IGBT gate. You see, this is the gate. Here you can see the gate. So the gate is given through a signal like this. And this signal is coming a logic signal. When you want to turn off, when you want to turn off. This signal is a logic signal coming from a processor. And this signal is giving to the gate. This is a gate. And this is the IGBT module. Now we'll come to this variable frequency drive. Variable frequency drive, VFD. VFD, you see, there are a lot of applications of VFD. Commercially, where you can see VFD, like if you see a domestic washing machine, nowadays you find VFDs. One example, VFD is everywhere. Because of what are the advantages of VFD? I told you the advantages are, it is energy saving. The main thing is energy saving. Low motor starting current, reduction in thermal mechanical stresses, simple installations, high power factor, low kVA. Onboard ship, in addition to the propulsions on the passenger ship also you'll find for centralized cooling systems. These centralized cooling systems, see the motor is always running. You want to save the energy, depend upon the seawater temperature or your requirements. So based on the seawater temperature, the energy can be saved if you have a variable speed pump. So you can reduce the voltage what you are giving to a pump motor, and basically you save the energy in that. So the application is plenty. It is not only that VFD is used only for propulsion drives or anything. It is used everywhere. The main purpose is energy saving. Environment impact, energy saving, low motor starting current, smooth starting of a motor, no jerk. Like star and delta motor, you have a jerk. When it changes from star to delta, there is a jerk to the motor. Because especially like submersible pumps, like in gas ships, LPG and LNG and the oil tankers and all, you got the motor which is submerged. So you cannot afford to give a jerk to these motors because it can affect the piping systems, it can damage the piping systems. You don't want to give any jerk. So you need a smooth starting. All these places. So these are the benefits. Hope you can hear me. Hello.
Yes, now you are back.
Okay, because this, I think 40 minutes the connection just went over. So you see, first thing is understand the VFD benefits. Okay. What is the difference between soft starter and VFD? Soft starter is only for starting purpose. VFD, you can start smooth starting and speed control. Both options are there in VFD. So main purpose of the VFD is to save the energy. Low motor starting current, reduction in thermal and mechanical stresses on the motor, and simple installation, high power factor. We'll see why it is high power factor. Okay, let's go back to the same slide. So VFD is a power electronics based device which converts basic fixed frequency, fixed voltage, sine power into a variable voltage and variable frequency. It regulates the speed of a three-phase induction motor by controlling the frequency and voltage of the power supply to the motor. Since the number of pole is constant, speed can be changed by varying the frequency. So this, hope you understood. You got some idea about how the propulsion drive looks like this. This is the control, okay, the engine control. Here the advantage is that you can stop and start the main engine immediate. Crash stopping is possible. Reversing is possible, quick, because it's a motor. You don't need any preparation for timing. Just start, stop, reverse, like normal, like, you know, any motor you can do it. And here you can see this is the generator. This is the switchboard here, main switchboard. Here you have a transformer here. These are the two transformers because you have two drives here, converters, two transformers. So this transformer is a three-phase transformer. The primary is a delta and secondary is a star and delta both, which is giving an output of around 180 volt AC to this converter, which will convert. And from here, this induction motor is driven. This output coming from here is an AC supply. So this is an inverter, converter, all these things are inside this unit. IGBT, everything is inside. This is a three-phase normal induction motor. So common terms in VFD is variable frequency drive. The device uses power electronics to vary the frequency of the input power to the motor, thereby controlling the motor speed. What is the basic principle of VFD? V by F, speed control. Means keep the flux is equal to V by F. Keep the flux constant, vary the voltage and frequency. That is a very basic concept of VFD. VFD operations. Now understanding the basic principle of VFD operations, which required understanding of three parts in this. One is a rectifier, one is a DC bus, one is an inverter. You can look at this. This part is called the rectifier part. This is called the DC bus part. This is called the inverter part. Now why we need a rectifier? The input supply, AC supply is given here. It is used to convert an AC supply into a DC. So the rectifier will have the rectifier. These are the, see how many rectifiers? 6 rectifiers. So one rectifier will allow power to pass through only when the voltage is positive. Second rectifier will allow the power to pass when it is negative. So 2 rectifiers are used for each one cycle. So most large power supplies are 3-phase. There will be minimum 6 rectifiers. Okay, how many rectifiers are here? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So 6 pulse we call it is. So it should be very clear to you. When you say 6 pulse means what? 12 pulse is what? 24 pulse is what? 6 pulse means 6 rectifier. It will give 6 pulse because this rectifier will give first positive half cycle, next positive half cycle for this phase, second phase this one, third phase this one. That means L1, L2, L3. It will give you 6 pulses. That is why it is called as 6 pulse rectifier. Some of the VFD can have 6 pulse, 12 pulse, 18 pulse, 24 pulse. What is a 6 pulse bridge? You see, this is a 6 pulse bridge. From an uncontrolled 3-phase rectifier, this is a bridge rectifier, 6 diodes are used. And the circuit has got pulse number of 6. So it is commonly known as a 6 pulse bridge. So how many pulses will come? Totally you get 6 pulses from here. So it is a 6 pulse rectifier. This is the DC bus. Now what is a DC bus? DC bus, you can here it's only you can see one capacitor. On board ship it's a plenty capacitors here. The whole purpose of this inductor and capacitor is to filter out this DC and give an input for the inverter. So DC is coming, DC is filtered here and preparing an input for the inverter. So after the power flows through the rectifier, this rectifier, it is stored in a DC bus. How it is stored? Because there are capacitors. The DC bus capacitors to accept the power from the rectifier and store it and deliver this to the inverter section. Inverter section, you can see here 6 IGBTs. These are the IGBTs. So input supply is AC, L1, L2. It is converted into DC here. This is a DC filtered. And this filtered DC is given to this inverter section, which will convert DC into AC. So you get a pulsating DC here. Basically, it will not be a proper sine wave. It will be a pulsating. This is a DC bus. We will study in details how it converts DC into AC. That is a function of inverter. Converter function is only convert AC into DC. Hope it is clear, this DC bus. Inverter.
It's clear.
Inverter is a common choice in modern VFDs. IGBT can switch on and switch off several thousand times. So the IGBT's method, it uses pulse width modulation to convert a DC supply into AC supply. So here if you see the speed is relation is frequency into 120 by number of poles. Okay. So if you vary the frequency, what happens? The speed will change. So that's what exactly the IGBT is doing. It is changing the frequency. It is changing the frequency, so you get a variable speed. This we have discussed what are the benefits of VFD. As I told you, the application of VFD is not limited to propulsion drive. It is used nowadays. All the new ships has got all the mooring winch, vanillas, everywhere we have got VFDs, and including seawater cooling systems also we are using VFDs. So its main purpose is energy saving and soft starting, smooth, no inrush of current, simple installations, etc. Another is mechanical. You see, VFD can be used not only this, few other things like throttling valves, vanes, dampers. You see, fan damper can be controlled using VFDs. So there are these also other few applications. Centrifugal pumps, compressors, and how the speed affects the flow, head and power consumption. So all these places you can use VFDs for energy saving purpose. This is for smooth starting, low inrush starting current. So you apply less voltage, start the motor slowly, ramp up the motor, increase the voltage, ramp up the motor, comes to full speed. Yes, all this possible. VFDs as a starter. So soft starter is using also VFDs. VFD can be used as a soft starter. You see the comparison between a starter and the inrush current in the VFDs. You see VFD has got starting current 100%. Star delta starter is got 200 to 275% is the starting current. Solid soft starter is 200%. You see, you can see the advantage. VFD is only 100% is the starting full load current. So that means auto transformer is 400 to 500. So here actually soft starting is possible with the VFD. So before this, let's see how you convert this AC into DC. We just see that one. You see, this is the VFD. It is using, if you see the VFD diagram here, 480 volt is the input supply here. When you convert this into DC by using a rectifier, you get plus 650 volt DC across this. Okay, this is 650 volt DC. This is converted into AC. Now here VFD you can see this is the IGBTs. Like here it is working like a switch, on and off, on and off. So when it is on and off, it converts a DC into a fluctuating DC, or you can say it is a AC. It is not a sinusoidal AC, you can see the output. So this method of conversion from a DC into AC is known as using pulse width modulations. So what is pulse width modulation? Let's see that when we'll come back to these slides. The pulse width modulation is a process inverting a DC voltage into variable voltage, variable frequency. That is called the pulse width modulation. So pulse width modulation uses transistors which switch the DC voltage on and off in a defined sequence to produce an AC output voltage and frequency. So most of the VFD today use these pulse width modulations and they use the IGBTs. So what is pulse width modulation? Pulse width modulation is a process involved in inverting a DC voltage into a variable voltage, variable frequency in the inverter section. So what is an inverter? Which will convert DC into AC. But how the inverter is converting? Using pulse width modulations. What is pulse width modulations? Let's see next. Pulse width modulation means you can see here, a longer the on time the pulse results in higher RMS voltage. Now see this pulse width is less. This is more, this is more, this is more, this is less. So when you make this pulse width more, the RMS voltage will increase. Now how do you control this pulse width? It has got a circuit, for a separate circuit for controlling this pulse width. So when you switch on and off, If you keep the on time more, then the RMS voltage will increase. So here what we are doing, we are controlling the voltage. Is it? VFD, you got V by F control. You have to increase the voltage, you have to increase the frequency. You have to decrease the voltage, decrease the frequency. So how do you control the voltage? This voltage is the RMS voltage. So in case of a VFD, it uses a pulse width technology. This is done by varying the RMS voltage to the motor. So by controlling the amount of time each pulse is on and off, the resulting RMS voltage across the motor phase can be controlled. So the width of the pulse factors resulting into RMS voltage. You see here now in this case, a shorter on time, the pulse width is less here. So your output is coming like this, the RMS voltage is reduced. In this you see the RMS voltage is increased. RMS voltage is this. RMS voltage, average voltage, peak voltage. Hope you remember this. What is RMS voltage? Peak voltage multiplied by 0.723, that is your RMS voltage. So your RMS voltage is varied by varying the pulse width. Here you see the pulse width is reduced, the RMS voltage is reduced. So now question comes, what happened to the frequency? Okay, now by modulating the pulse width over each successive half wave, the RMS voltage across the motor phase can be controlled. So the resultant variable RMS voltage allows VF2 to vary the amount of current flowing through the phases. Okay, now come to the frequency side. How you vary the frequency? The frequency is varied by switching frequency. That refers to the rate at which on and off switching of the individual IGBTs. How fast you switch on and switch off is the frequency is decided based on this. How much is the pulse width will matter your voltage. That is your RMS voltage. How fast you switch on, switch off will depend upon the frequency. Frequency will be depend upon that. So typical switching frequencies, you can make 4 kilohertz, 8 kilohertz, up to 16 kilohertz. Higher switching rate will provide cleaner waveform to the motor as there will be more pulses over each half wave. So here you can see in this, you see here you got 30 hertz, here you got 20 hertz, here you got 10 hertz. What is the difference? What you can look out from this? You see, the switching frequency is very fast here. Fast you can see.